students, in this session we are going to talk about scope of sociology and also comparison with other social sciences. Okay, so this is from your paper 1, the chapter 1. Okay, so chapter 1, the first topic that we have already done, that is emergence of sociology. Now here we are going to talk about the second topic, that is the scope of sociology. Okay, so we will see what is the scope of sociology in this session. Now if you remember, in the previous session we have talked about emergence of sociology, and I've told you how you will write the answer. If you remember, if you go for a quick recap, we have discussed about dark ages, then we have discussed about age of enlightenment or renaissance period, and we have understood this in three phases, right, or three dimensions: scientific revolution, commercial revolution, intellectual revolution. And we have talked about modernity related to this, and modernity, different elements are political, economic, social and intellectual, right? And then we have discussed about this modernity brought a lot of social changes. We have talked about social changes, and then that led to the emergence of sociology. So this is what we have done yesterday in emergence of sociology. Now after the emergence of sociology, so sociology emerged now, so in one line you can discuss about all those things that we have covered in the previous session. When you are writing this particular answer, you can simply say that sociology emerged in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe. So what all things I'm saying sociology emerged as a response to challenges posed by modernity. So we are talking about the challenges, we are talking about modernity and in medieval Europe. So everything that we have discussed in the previous session that is related to emergence of sociology actually came here. Okay, so that should be a first sentence. Now after this, ever since sociology emerged, initial sociologists wanted to make it on the line similar to natural sciences. Why? Then only you will get that initial legitimacy. And also there is an obsession towards science during that time, right? So if you claim that this is similar to natural sciences like physics, chemistry, biology, then it will be accepted by people. So because of that obsession, initial sociologists try to do it, and with that actually the scope of sociology started gradually widening, and the scope of sociology widened, and that's what we are actually going to understand. What we will do is we'll try to understand the scope of sociology in four phases. Let's say the first phase, that is 1838, sociology emerged to 1880. So this is going to be your first phase. See, these are not a rigid classification. For your understanding, I'm making this phase. Okay. Second is actually 1880 to 1940. Okay, 1880 to 1940. Then the third phase, 1940 to 1990, and then 1990 to up till now. Okay, so till now. So these are the four phases in which you can actually understand. See, here my objective is basically to give you a broad idea about the scope of sociology, or it's like a ready-made answer which is prepared. So what you need to do is you just remember this, you just mug it up. But I will tell you, actually there is no need to mug up this, because what all things that I'm going to discuss here as scope of sociology, everything, each and everything in detail we are going to learn in the coming session. So what is the scope of sociology? Ultimately it is your syllabus only. So if you know the syllabus, and if you know each and every content in your syllabus, you will be in a position to write a very good answer. There is no point in relying on this note that I'm going to give you, because all the notes that I'm going to give you today with respect to this topic is actually a compilation of your syllabus and the future topics that we are going to cover. For example, we talk about Weber here. We are going to cover Weber in detail. We will be talking about Durkheim. We will cover that also in detail. Everything we will be covering. Every topic that we are mentioning here in depth we will cover. So there is no point in studying this or mugging it up today. What you can do is you can go through sociology syllabus, and once we complete the entire syllabus, you will be in a position to write a better answer than what I am giving here. Okay, in your language you will be in a position to write the content. So if you have any doubt related to sociology, you can get in touch with me. There's my Instagram ID. You can join the Telegram channel. You will get all my economy, history, ethics and sociology videos over there. And if you have any doubt, if you want to get in touch with me over phone, you can call me. This is my number, 98955 77775 or 9790 892-697. In this number, mostly I will be available, or both are available, both are my numbers, okay? Or you can, here also you can get in touch with me. So my Facebook or Instagram, or anyway, if you have any doubt, if you need regular classes, live classes, online classes, regular classes are only in Trivandrum, okay, in Kerala. If you need live classes, we are giving it through Zoom, that is available. Every day you can attend the class, okay? And then apart from that, recorded classes are available. YouTube, I'll be taking most important topic. You'll get all my videos over there in Telegram channel also. So, okay, now these are the phases that we need to see. Now, when we talk about the first phase, we will discuss this in detail, but I'll give you the structure, the framework. Okay, if you remember the previous discussion, every discussion, first what we are doing, we are discussing the skeleton of that particular answer. So this is how you need to discuss. So first phase, we will be talking about two important thinkers. Okay, first is Auguste Comte. Okay, so you know the importance of this person. He is the founding father of sociology. So Auguste Comte, we will be talking about him. So for him, the scope of sociology is basically to study social statics and social dynamics. So he's saying study social statics and social dynamics. Social statics means, you know, the static items like the structure of society. So the structure of society and its organization, etc. Social dynamics means the dynamics part. That means the changes. That means social changes. So what is the scope of sociology? Studying the static part and studying the dynamic part. In simple terms, studying the structure as well as change. Okay, so study social structure and study social change. That's what the scope of sociology according to Auguste Comte. Now, second person that I want to tell you here is related to in this phase, Herbert Spencer. Okay, so Herbert Spencer. I've already told you that the initial sociologist wanted to make sociology on the line similar to natural sciences. And if you remember, I've told you Saint Simon initially thought of social physics on the line similar to natural science physics. So basically what he did is he compared it with biology. Okay, and in fact what we are studying in sociology, we are studying society. He compared society with an organism. Okay, so what he did is he made a comparison between society that sociology study with an organism. So if biology is studying an organism, okay, sociology we are studying society. So he tried to make a comparison between biology and sociology by comparing society and organism. The subject matters, comparing the subject with the subject matters. Okay, now society, if you see what is the further reducible element, if you see these are subsystems. So basically society is composed of subsystems. Like society will function with subsystems like economic system, political system, cultural system, family system, etc. There are n number of subsystems are there in society. Just like organs in the body. Without organs, the organism cannot function. Similarly, without subsystem, the society cannot function. So what he did, he compared subsystems with organs in the organism. So here, subsystem like economic system, okay, political system, etc. He compared it with organs in the body. Okay, now further, if you see in subsystem, there will be groups. Okay, so then that is actually a small part. So in economic system, in family system, every system there will be groups. And he said it is similar to tissues in an organism. Okay, and what is the ultimate reducible element of society? It is the individual. So he finally came up with individual, and how he compared it with organism, he compared with cells. Okay, so this is a comparison he made. Now this itself will tell you the initial sociologist orientation or their objective or their concern towards making similar, sociology similar to the natural sciences. Okay, so that debate anyway is there. We will discuss about that in detail in the coming sessions, but have an idea in the scope of sociology, because we will be discussing everything that we are talking about here in the scope of sociology in detail in the coming sections. Okay, so ultimately what I'm doing here is actually I'm consolidating the syllabus, nothing more, and in detail we'll be doing the discussion. So here I don't have time to discuss the entire syllabus in detail, no. So I'm just talking from the perspective of writing the answer. So if suppose tomorrow you need to write an answer, and if you need me to get that paper evaluated, for example you're writing an answer, or if you're writing the test series, then you should have content rather than completely studying sociology at this point of time. But once you complete sociology with me, I'll guarantee you, okay, you will be in a position to write a much better answer than I'm giving here. There's an answer which is prepared for this particular topic by incorporating all those. But if you study sociology with me sincerely, I am making a promise here that you will be in a position to write a better answer with better content. Okay, so that's the first phase. Now if you see the second phase, here we will talk about two important thinkers. They are Max Weber and Emile Durkheim. I'm not writing it completely because we will be talking about this again in detail. Okay, so Max Weber and Emile Durkheim, they have given entirely two different perspectives. Max Weber gave a micro perspective to study sociology, and Durkheim gave a macro perspective to study sociology. Initial sociologists, these people also gave macro perspective. Macro approach. Macro approach means, as I've already told you in the first session, giving importance to society. You're studying society as a whole. That's what you mean by macro approach or macro perspective. When it comes to micro, you are giving importance to individuals. Okay, so on one side you are giving importance to society, so it's a society central approach. Micro means you are giving importance to individual. That means this is an individual centric approach. So if, let's suppose, you are preparing for civil service, as per macro approach, they will tell that it is because of the societal pressure that you're preparing for civil service, otherwise you won't prepare. But on the other hand, micro perspective will tell that it is because of your own interest that you're preparing. It doesn't mean that, you know, because of societal pressure you are preparing for civil service. If that is the case, everybody should have been prepared for civil service. That is not the case here. Okay, so there is a difference between micro approach and macro approach. One is society centric, one is individual centric. We will discuss in detail about this, and once we complete the syllabus you will get to know everything, because in Weber we only talk about micro approach in detail. Okay, because that in itself is a school, formal school. Okay, so based on this approach, you know, now sociology is almost formal, and it is actually accepted in different universities, and sociology started teaching in different universities also. So now during this time, sociology became a part of, you know, subject or a new discipline, and it used to be taught in different universities. So two new schools of thought emerged based on these two approach, micro and macro. Those two schools are basically the followers of Weber and Durkheim. So one school which is the follower of macro approach, that is a synthetic school, and the other follower of Weber, micro approach, that is a formal school. Okay, so these are the two important schools that we need to discuss during this point of time: synthetic school and formal school. One follower of Durkheim, macro approach; one follower of Weber, micro approach. Okay, then if you discuss about the third phase, this phase, you see, what is the problem with Weber or micro approach? You are talking only from individual point of view. You are ignoring the society. Okay, so it's not the case that you are doing everything as per your wish. So let's suppose you are going you know, in a movie hall. Okay, everybody is making some noise. Okay, you may also automatically make some noise if some good scenes or anything is coming, right? Because you are doing it under the influence of the society. It is not when you're watching the same movie in your home, you may not do that. Right? So under the influence of society also you will do certain things. It's not that everything is individual centric. Okay, so you see, if you are going for micro, you are ignoring the importance of society. If you are going for macro, you are ignoring the role of individual. So both are actually partial understanding of society. So both micro and macro, both are considered important. So the new approach which emerged during this time in the writings of very important thinker Parson and Merton, this is actually following this mixing of approaches, right? Now during this time you will see a lot of mix of approaches: micro plus macro, inductive, deductive, scientific, humanistic. Inductive means normal process of theory building as used in science, like you collect the data, you interpret the data, you analyze the data, then come up with the theory which will be testable, like what you have done in case of physics, chemistry labs before in your +2, etc. The normal experiment. Deductive, which will be more suitable for social sciences, like you will make a hypothesis first. For example, if you are considering a study on, you know, domestic violence, you make a hypothesis first. Domestic violence is because of alcoholism, and then what you will do to substantiate this particular point, what you will do, you will collect data. So already hypothesis is made, and then you are going to collect the data. So there will be more biasness in this approach, deductive approach. You may collect data to suit your convenience. So already it is there in your mind. Okay, so that is a reverse approach. So the mix, mostly inductive approach is suitable for natural science, and deductive approach is suitable for social science. But now intermingling is actually happening, as I have told you: micro, macro, scientific, humanistic, inductive, deductive, etc. All these are mixed up. Now in the fourth phase, if you see, See, these phase again, these are not rigid classification. For your understanding, I'm just making it, okay? Because all these things we are going to study in detail. Now the scope of sociology is widened. At this point of time, if you see, sociology is permeating through each and every aspect of social life. For example, you know, sociology of health is there. Sociology of crime, criminal sociology is there. Clinical sociology is there. Okay, so sociology is actually permeating through each and every aspect of social life, and whatever you want to, even your research, if you have done or if you're planning to do, you can actually write over here. So sociology is now studying everything. Okay, it's like every other subject, it is actually now connected with sociology. So that's about the scope of sociology, and I hope this is very easy for you. You will not face any problem, and especially with this note itself, I'm expecting that you'll be writing a very good answer. If not, you will be in a position to frame your own answer in a much better way than what I'm giving today once you complete the sociology syllabus with me. I promise you that. Okay, that's a guarantee. So here let's move on to the topic now. See, these are the questions. Repeatedly they will ask question from this topic. From the chapter 1, I told you one question is for sure, either from emergence of sociology or from scope of sociology. Generally question is asked. Then one more topic is their common sense. There also question can be asked, but one question is for sure from chapter 1. Okay, so scope of sociology, it's a direct question. Here this is a short note. Discuss the scope of sociology and compare it with other social sciences. So first part is discussing the scope of sociology. Then you may need to compare it with sociology versus economy, sociology versus political science, sociology versus history, sociology versus anthropology. Okay, so like this you will get a long question. So you need to compare all these subjects with sociology. Or there may be another short notes. These are specifically will be asked as a short note also. Sociology versus economy, sociology versus political science, etc. Okay. So now let's move on to this discussion. As I've told you, the first sentence, any question from the first 3 chapters, the first line should be related to the emergence of sociology. Okay, so how will you write in one line about emergence of sociology? You need to incorporate the modernity, you need to incorporate the social changes, and you need to talk about medieval Europe, everything, right? So as I've told you in the beginning of the session, how will you write that? Sociology emerged in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe. So we incorporated everything over there. So that's what I've written here. Sociology emerged as a distinct discipline in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe. Now, initially, sociology was understood as a discipline which will help in understanding the changes in society. I've told you when sociology emerged, it is basically to understand the changes. Now, initial sociologists intended to develop sociology on the line similar to natural sciences. We have done this discussion, and the scope of sociology is gradually widening because of the contribution of a lot of thinkers. Okay, in order to be a scientific discipline, the scope of sociology need to be defined very clearly. So we can understand the scope of sociology in 4 phases as we have discussed. This is the first phase, 1838 to 80. 1880 to 1940, that's the second phase. There's a third phase, and there's the fourth phase. Again, I'm telling you, this is not a rigid classification, okay? And you will not find this a standard form in any textbook. So initially, the sociologist attempted to understand society as a whole in terms of macro units. I've told you the initial approach is related to macro approach, giving importance to society. Auguste Comte, the father of sociology. Whenever you write this name in your answer for the first time, you have to also write, after writing Auguste Comte, comma, the father of sociology. In his book Course of Positive Philosophy and System of Positive Polity, delineated the scope of sociology into social statics, not social statistics, social statics and social dynamics. I will edit it and I'll give you the notes. Okay, so this notes, this PDF, you don't want to write it down now. I'll give you, you can get that in my Instagram or my Telegram channel. You just join the Telegram channel, you will get all my notes, all topics related to sociology. I'll share over there immediately after the class. So social statics means there's a basic social order. I've told you there's a structure, there's a constant part. So social dynamics means it's about social change, the changes. Okay, so that's what you need to study. So social changes and social structure. So Comte also argued for framing of laws of social organization in order to develop sociology as a scientific discipline. Okay, then comes Herbert Spencer, as we have discussed already. Herbert Spencer, in his book Principles of Sociology, compared society with an organism. He also used a macro perspective. he delineated the scope of sociology in terms of macro units like family, politics, religion, industry associations, etc. His scope is more descriptive in nature. According to him, sociology should study the interrelationship among all these different elements in society, woven together in intricate yet some meaningful patterns. So all these elements are woven together for a purpose. There is a meaning for this, but even though it is complex, there is a meaning, and that interrelationship is what you need to study as a sociologist. And this is a comparison which we have made. He compared sociology with biology, like that. So basic subject matter here, if you see society, and here it is an organism. So he made a comparison between these two by comparing subsystem with organs, groups with tissues, and individual with the cells. So here, what is the ultimate reducible element? Cell. Here, what is the ultimate reducible element in case of sociology? That is individual. Okay. So thus, initially, the scope of sociology is based on macro-humanistic view. The social investigation work to be conducted in an inductive approach. I have told you this is related to science. So initially, they have given importance to inductive approach. The initial sociologists actually used the methods directly from natural sciences. Okay. Now, this is the second phase that we are going to discuss. So after 1880, the scope of sociology was further widened by Max Weber. Only one B is there, Max Weber, by introducing micro-perspective in sociology. According to him, sociology is the science which study the social action. So for Weber, what is sociology? Studying social action taken by the individual and thereby arrive at an explanation of cause and effect. So you study the social action, study the action of an individual, and try to explain the cause and effect relationship. Why he did that and what is the effect of it. How can you do that? How to do it? It is basically by understanding the meanings attached by the actor to his action. So if you are studying the social action, what you need to do? You try to study the meanings attached by the actor to his action. The most probable meaning which would have been attached by the actor when doing a particular action. And if you know the meaning attached by the actor to his action, you will be in a position to establish the cause and effect relationship. Okay. For him, understanding the meaning attached by the actor whose action is the basic scope of sociology. So studying meaning, studying social action is the scope of sociology according to Weber. We will be studying the theory of social action, then it will be very clear. So a big theory which we are going to study in around 800 to 1000 words, I have written here in 20 words. So obviously you may face some problem, but I've tried to explain in a better way. Okay, this is what the maximum I can do, not me, anyone can do at this stage. There's a maximum, because this has to be done as a separate theory in Weber. Similarly, Durkheim also the same thing. Emile Durkheim delineated the scope of sociology as study of social fact. There it was study of social action. Here it is study of social fact. He proposed a macro view for identifying elements qualifying to be social facts. And so this is macro view. There it was micro view. During this period, two books, Methods of Social Sciences by Weber, we will be studying about this book in detail, and Rules of Sociological Method by Durkheim played a significant role in explaining the scope of sociology. And towards the end of 19th century and the beginning of 20th century, sociology came to be taught as a discipline, separate discipline in different universities of Europe and America. So during these periods, scope of sociology came to be understood in terms of two schools, as I've told you, formal school and synthetic school. So formal schools are the followers of Weber and they follow a micro approach. Synthetic school, followers of Durkheim, and they follow a macro approach. Okay, now, so let's talk about formal school now. Formal school followed a micro perspective and took a limited view of the scope of sociology, and according to them, sociology should confine itself to describing, classifying and analyzing the macro units like activities, relationships, etc. See, exactly the same way only I teach in my regular classes. So instead of reading out and explaining, I'll dictate it in the class and I'll explain. So what I've done is I've actually taken out a note from my student and I'm explaining that. Okay, so I can avoid the dictation part. Otherwise, it will take more than 1 hour. So this will be beneficial to you. So what I'll do is I'll share these notes with you. Okay, that will be better so that you can avoid that writing. But writing in class obviously will give us a lot of advantage. That writing practice will be done in class itself. So I request you, even after getting this PDF, if it is possible, you can write it into your notebook. So at least some writing practice you'll get, and you will get more familiarity with the content in the PDF. Okay. So for example, Weber understood sociology as studying social action. Kant used mental relationship like love, hatred, competition, corruption, etc. Von Weiss identified the scope of sociology in terms of fundamental social process, that is a ways of interaction. Tonys in terms of social relationship. Now synthetic school. So this is the follower of Durkheim, macro perspective. So according to them, the scope of sociology in macro perspective is to be studied. According to them, the relevance of particular social phenomena must be understood in the context of wider reality. That is what macro perspective. It emphasized on studying society as a whole. Yes, Durkheim identified the scope in terms of three principal divisions: social morphology, social physiology, and general sociology. Karl Mannheim divided sociology into two main sections: general sociology and historical sociology. Okay, so after 1940, the scope of sociology was further enriched by the use of combination of micro and macro. I've told you there's a third phase, so here mixing of approaches will happen, right? Micro, macro. For example, Parson in his book The Structure of Social Action and the Social System dismantled. We will discuss this in detail in Parson. Dismantled the dichotomy of micro and macro. That means you don't want to strictly follow the division of micro and macro. You can mix it. Because if you follow micro, you are ignoring society. If you are following macro, you are ignoring the will of the individual. Both are required. If you are following only one, that's a partial understanding of society. So for better understanding, you have to incorporate both. That's the idea of Parson. Okay, so macro, to develop an integrated view of the scope of sociology. According to him, sociology should aim at developing generalized theories, and we will be studying one of his generalized theories, social system. Very important theory, and the only difficult theory in sociology is social system. Otherwise everything is easy, and we will try to make that difficult theory also very easy as much as possible. Because if you understood that theory, social system, you will understand everything in sociology, because everything is related to system, political system, economic system, family system, everything is system. Okay, so similarly, Robert Merton proposed development of middle range theory. We'll see that middle range theory also. Now you will see Karl Popper combined the inductive and deductive approach. C. Wright Mills combined the scientific and humanistic approach. Then the scope of sociology further boosted by development of perspectives like structuralism, phenomenology, and ethnomethodology. These are the different perspectives that we are going to study in your chapter 2. We will do that in YouTube itself. Okay. Then recently, with the emergence of postmodern approach, the trend towards multidisciplinary view. Now multidisciplinary, that means it is combined with many other disciplines also, like as I have told you, criminal sociology, clinical sociology, sociology of health, etc. So the scope was widened. New fields of study are being gradually added to the sociology, which are traditionally not considered part of it. For example, sociology of health, criminal sociology, clinical sociology are finding permanent spaces in sociology. Thus, the scope of sociology is gradually widening, and this was made possible also due to incorporation of different methodologies with time. Different perspective also gave importance, and different perspective also widened the scope of sociology. For example, functional perspective, which is provided by Durkheim, gave more humanistic orientation, had a more humanistic orientation, which resulted in identification of key components of society which are related to social order. I've told you inequality we can understand in functional terms. Similarly, conflict perspective highlighted the contradiction. So one functional approach to see everything in a positive term, and one conflict perspective to see everything the negative form for critically analyzing. So for critically analyzing, conflict perspective is going to help you a lot. Okay, so that also is important here. The positivist qualitative methodology relied heavily on empirical reality. Positivism was the initial perspective used in sociology, which is similar to natural science. So they gave importance to empirical reality. Okay, non-positivists included internal, hidden, etc. like Weber. From Weber only this deviation from positivism is actually happening. So other aspects of methodology like use of different methods, etc. So I hope you understood the session. If you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me. That's my Instagram ID. You join the Telegram channel, you won't miss any topics. Okay, whatever possible I'll cover over there, and I'll share my notes in the Telegram channel. Okay, so you can, by joining the Telegram channel, you'll get my notes over there. And this is my, I've given you the number already, and this is my Facebook ID, or this is also my Facebook page. Okay, so you can get in touch with me in any of this. If you need any help, test series or mentorship for sociology or GS, please feel free to get in touch with me. Okay, see you guys. Thank you.